Greetings. Hello, Mr. Taylor. Alright, streaming later than usual. I had a lot of videos to do for students today. So, what are we going to do here? I have it marked reacting to multiple guitar instruction videos. Why? I got a lot that I really want to get done, and I don't want to have to keep waiting a full week to do another video. So let's see how many we can get done before I am just mentally effed. So, we're just going to go through my list of things here. I might do some short ones just to get even more stuff. But as always, you got questions, comments, like it says at the top of the screen. Put them in the comments. And then next year, coming up soon, I got to get in the habit of streaming on multiple platforms again. So, and then what? Is it really 2 weeks? Holy shit, yeah, 2 weeks driving out to California. This is by far the fastest year I have ever experienced. It's crazy. Alright. First on the agenda today. Alright, first video we're going to react to is from Alfred Potter Guitar. The video is called My Tips for Beginner Guitarists. As always, I never watch these videos before responding. These are not meant to put down anyone. We're just seeing, do we agree? What can we all learn here? What stuff can I add to expand the value? So, here we go. Let's see what Mr. Potter has to say. And do I agree? And if you can't hear any audio, please let me know.
So today I thought I'd share some advice for beginners, or the kind of advice that I wish I'd had back when I was starting out. Number one, lower those strings. You see, too many students come to me complaining about their hands cramping up or a low top speed, poor legato, and 99 times out of 100, it's because their strings are too high.
That's a good point. And that's something I remember my guitar teacher laughing at me about, because I kept trying to have high action on my guitars. And Alfred is very correct. You got high action, it's going to make it harder to play, especially if you're trying to play fast. So getting really low action can make playing fast, or just anything, much easier. The lower you go, the higher the risk of fret buzz. So I try and get a decent balance of just a tiny bit of fret buzz with the action being really low, so the strings being as close to the fretboard as possible. So his first tip, totally on board with that. Get the action nice and low.
There's a good reason for this. Why are strings high? Why is this a common problem with beginners? Well, it's because most guitar shops, music stores, they either can't be bothered or can't really invest the time or money going around every guitar in their showroom, giving each and every one of them a professional setup. And this is especially true for cheap beginner guitars. Now, on the one hand, I can understand that from a business perspective, but you can see how it might be a problem, how it just perpetuates and you get generation upon generation of young beginner guitarists starting out. And what are they going to buy? They're going to buy a cheap guitar, which isn't really set up properly, right? So, yeah, take a look at your strings now and lower them, really. And if you can't do it yourself, get a professional to do it. Go to a luthier. But here's a word of warning. Most luthiers try to play it safe because they don't want people to come back with a complaint saying that the strings are buzzing. So really spell it out to your luthier when you go and see them. Say, I want my strings low. Okay, point number two, keep your practice broad. So, okay, imagine that you're just starting out, going to the gym for your first time. You're skin and bones, no muscle on you at all. you wouldn't just go in there and start doing like a hyper-focused isolation workout for your rear delt, let's say. It's just absurd. It's ridiculous. I mean, you wouldn't know what a rear delt is probably, let alone how to target it in isolation. So when you start out at the gym, you try to pack on as much muscle as you can everywhere, and you do this with compound X.
Hello, Joe. You've changed your thumbnail. Or your avatar, I should say. Yes? Not thumbnail. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Exercises. So, things like deadlift, squats, bench press, that's the kind of thing that you do, compound exercises. Now, this is the same for getting good at guitar. You need to work on everything. So, alternate picking, economy picking, sweeping, legato, bends, slides, improvising, all those things, you need to do all of them. And by focusing on everything, you'll eventually get a feel for what you're good at, which doesn't really matter, and then what you're bad at. That brings me on to point number 3. Practice what you're bad at. See, I wasted a lot of time when I was younger. In my late teens, I was...
I'm going to go back to this. All right, so this idea of having the broad practice. Let's talk about that. And this is something I've wrestled with in teaching people. And my thing has been, like when I work with people, what I've been doing is like a very much a deep dive of everything and just going through as much detail as possible, just one thing after the next, in terms of different rhythm stuff, chord strumming, and that includes single note playing, legato, things like that. So one concern I have, although certainly like the gym analogy, anyway, I do believe people can focus on too many things at once and then get nowhere. So having some sort of direction, it's like, well, what is it you're actually going to work on? That should be the main focus. And it sounds like he's about to say this because he's saying practice what you're bad at. So I suppose if you do the broad approach to figure out where your weak points are, then you can start targeting that. Because one concern I can see with people, most people I work with, have worked with, and still work with, if I gave them, all right, you got this chord pattern, you have a strumming pattern, you have this lead line you're supposed to work on, you have this legato thing to work on, and you have your finger tapping thing to work on, you have your sweep picking thing to work on, they're not going to get very far that week. I had to start scaling things back at one point in this whole teaching career and be more focused on like, all right, well, we're doing this. We're going to tackle the strumming stuff first, and then we'll get to the single note playing next, and then we'll get to the legato thing next. All while being very rhythmic based or focusing on rhythm. All while focusing on rhythm for the most part. Meaning like making sure that your 8th notes are where they're supposed to be, how your 16th notes are spaced out properly, doing variations of all that stuff. So, and I think most people, when they start playing, they naturally gravitate towards just trying to do all kinds of stuff anyway. I think it's pretty rare, at least my experience, to come across anyone who is focused on just one specific thing the entire time and never do anything else. It's possible, sure. However, one student many years ago, he could sweep pick really well, but if you gave him just an old-fashioned AC/DC riff, he couldn't do it. He couldn't play basic chords to save his life, but he could sweep pick really well. So, where am I going with that? It's weird if you can sweep pick, but you can't play a C, G, D chord progression. Anyway, to sum that point up, I do think there's benefit to focusing on one or two things at a time, but trying to do everything all at once, I think it's going to overwhelm most people. That's just been my experience anyway.
I would sit around all day playing riffs and licks that I could already play, and that's a waste of time. There's no value in doing that, besides just keeping it at a nice standard, maintaining. Essentially every day I was just having fun playing guitar, and that's not how you get good at guitar. You get good at guitar through constantly being under stress, being under constantly increasing levels of discomfort and speed in terms of BPM on the metronome, and tackling your weaknesses. So make sure you're practicing what you're bad at. That is how you improve as a guitarist. And I wish I'd known that when I was starting out. So there you go. Number 4.
So one thing I always tell my students, hello, potato. That's what I tell my students, hello, potato. One thing I always tell my students is a goal I have with them is to always keep them just outside of their comfort zone. So yes, it's true. You have to have some level of stress, like he just said, in order to keep improving. Because if you're always comfortable, you're never going to get anywhere. There's nothing really wrong with staying in a place of comfort if you're satisfied. If you're happy with where you're at, that's fine. But if you're trying to grow, yes, you have to play things and learn things that you can't do very well right away. So you have a reason to adapt, you have a reason to grow.
Pick slanting. When I started out, I just naturally started doing upward pick slanting. And I think there were 2 reasons for this. One was that I watched a lot of Vinnie Moore instructional videos, and as you may or may not know, he is mostly an upward pick slanter. So upward pick slanting, if you don't know what that means, it means when you're doing scale runs and such, you move to new strings after downstrokes. So you have a slight counterclockwise twist in your forearm to facilitate that. And yeah, so I was watching a lot of Vinnie Moore instructional videos. That was one reason I think I developed an upward pick slant, and the other was because I started my 3-note string scale runs on a downstroke. So when you're on the low E string, you go down, up, down, so that first string cross is done after a downstroke. So even to get that first string cross, I kind of just automatically, subconsciously figured out I had to use a counterclockwise twist. But for years and years, I would just play my scale runs with an upward pick slant. I was missing the other half of the formula, and I didn't know it. So I wish that I could go back and tell myself, learn 2-way pick slanting. You can't just do one all the time. You've got to use 2 as well if you want true scalar freedom. So, right, what's next?
I'm just curious, like, how long ago was this put out? Oh, only 6 months ago. I wonder if he was aware of the 2-way pick slanting thing before cracking the code. Do I have anything to add with that? As far as the whole 2-way pick slanting thing, or as Troy Grady and the Cracking the Code gang now refer to it, the upward or downward escape motions. Like, I developed the whole 2-way pick slanting thing simply by doing tons of metronome practice, playing all kinds of stuff with it, and just making sure the notes sound good. And then my hands just naturally started to do what it needed to do in order to play the notes. So I think for some people they get confused when trying to learn the whole downward escape or upward escape motions or 2-way pick slanting. And I think it depends on the person if you even should focus on that. Like, if you find yourself stuck at certain speeds, or you're having a hard time playing certain pieces of music, it might be worth looking into. But for some people, you know, myself included, we figure these things out without even knowing about it. So I've noticed some students I have had to give advice on that before because they weren't making the adjustments necessary to play things cleanly. So it's I still kind of wrestle with the idea of when should I start teaching people the whole slanting process? Because I don't want to overwhelm people with little nuances like that. Sometimes it's necessary, but not always. Anyway, now I'm just waiting for thoughts to come to my mind. Let's continue on.
Next, see if I can remember it all. Yeah, the next one is to jam regularly. You see, jamming really is a use it or lose it kind of thing. You've got to keep it trained, or you'll lose it. It's like spinning a plate on a stick, right? It'll balance itself for a bit, but you need to keep spinning it, or else it'll topple and then eventually fall to the floor and shatter. That's what your jamming and creative improv skills are like. I remember years ago, I went to a party and there was a guitar there, and what usually happens is people want me to play them something, And so there were others there with more guitars, and we started having a jam. And I went to play something, and it was just crap. And the reason was because I'd been practicing nothing but exercises, picking exercises, for months prior. So when it came time to jam, I had nothing to go, because I just hadn't jammed in so long. I had completely lost it. So I recommend to you, jam regularly. What do I mean by this? Perhaps 30 minutes at the end of every day. Just when you're done with all of your practice sessions, just have a 30-minute jam, put on a backing track or two, and just make sure that your ability to jam and to improvise is still being kept to a nice.
Well, let's add to that. So, doing a 30-minute jam session or improv practice session at the end of each day, you practice however many days that is. Let's say 5 days a week, like I insist my students do. That's part of the sign-up process. You have to be able to commit to 5 days a week of practice. Can there be benefit from doing 30 minutes a day of improv practice? Sure. Do I think I don't think it's necessary to do that much. 5 or 10 minutes would be plenty if you're doing it consistently. Especially when you take schedules take a person's schedule into consideration. Because most of the people I work with are adults. It's very rare I have a teenager, let alone a kid anymore. Pretty much all working adults. A lot of them have families. So so to expect these people to add an additional 30 minutes on top of their practice session already just to improv, I think that would be overkill for a lot of people. If you're having fun with it, then of course 30 minutes would be no problem. But just to maintain stuff, I think for most people, doing like 5 to 10 minutes a day would be plenty. 5 to 10 minutes a day of improv practice, 5 days a week, plenty, and you'll be okay. So, again, just my take on things. Not saying he's wrong, but not saying he's right either. I'm not saying I'm right. What? Anyway, let's continue now.
Standard. Finally, record. Yeah, start recording now. Don't wait to start recording tracks. Get started right now. I know that when I was younger, I kind of put it off. I kind of procrastinated. I wanted to wait until I was a better guitarist before I started recording tracks. I wanted to wait until I got a bit more familiar with the recording program. I used Ableton. I wanted to wait until I understood mixing and mastering and sound production and EQ and all those things. When really what I should have been doing is just getting stuck in. And I think that if you are a beginner or an intermediate player and you're not recording yet, and perhaps you're waiting like I was, just forget about that and get started. Unfortunately, you do have to realize that for the first few...
So I think it's a good idea to record stuff too. In fact, I've had some students record their performances so they can watch back, see how it sounds, or hear how it sounds, see what it looks like. And if you can record yourself and play it back, and you can kind of hear and see the way things are lined up, it can be very, very helpful. Now, you do have to have some knowledge of recording software, but there's so many tutorials out there to help you with that. And there's a lot of very affordable things, such as Reaper. I think that's the most affordable digital audio workstation software out there. And there's plenty of like $100 interfaces that you can start recording with. It's probably stuff cheaper than that now. Of course, you get what you pay for. If you spend very little, it's not going to be the greatest thing, but eventually you can upgrade your hardware so you can get better recordings. But yeah, recording stuff, and like if you learn how to use the grid in your DAW or your recording software, and like maybe have a drum track set up and whatnot so you can see where all your 16th notes are or your 8th notes, and then even like program a MIDI track of what it is you're trying to play so you can hear the MIDI track and try and line your guitar playing up with that, and just see how accurate you actually are. Because when you start to record, it can be a very humbling experience. It certainly was for me. When I recorded when I recorded the guitars for an album called Imperial Progeny, a band I used to be in called Infinity. The guy, Nico, who's wrote most of the stuff, who started the project, he had very good rhythm. He had good timing. And he showed me how off I was, like how I would rush things. I would be late on things. And when I thought it sounded good and I thought I nailed it, he basically, he's like, look, here, this you're off. Here, you're off. Here, this is off. And man, that was a tremendous and much needed blow to the ego. So my cockiness factor was dialed down significantly when I started recording with someone who knew his stuff in terms of rhythmic accuracy. So yes, recording yourself, listening back, seeing how accurate it is, very, very good idea. Mr. Number One Gator. He works with Reaper. Good. Yeah, right now I got Studio One version 3. I think they're on 5 now. Well, they're on 5, maybe on 6 coming up. I have yet to upgrade because I just never saw a point. 3 works fine. Why go to the next one? Anyway, let's continue.
Few years or so, you're going to be producing rubbish, quite frankly. And that's because, just like with getting good at guitar, getting good with a recording program is a long process with a lot of learning along the way as well. So get started with that now. Okay, there's a handful of tips there, some advice for beginners, or advice that I'd give myself if I could go back in time and give younger me a helping hand. I hope this was helpful. If you finally want to master sweep picking once and for all,
well, we'll let his ad play.
It's time to get my video course, Sweep Picking Master. Learn all the technical fundamentals with custom animations, explanations, and demonstrations. Work your way through shapes and licks for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 string sweeping. Undergo creativity training to really make these sweeps your own and to break away from those repetitive up and down sweeps. Learn how to get faster and at the same time develop your articulation, synchronization, and overall timing. And work through a collection of full production sweep arpeggio passages with backing tracks and tabs. So go get Sweep Picking Master right now. It's available at metalmastermind.com.
All right, there we go. That is video 1 of our reacting to. That was gross. I'm going to add this to the video description. Okay, save that. So overall, I agree with him. The only thing that I would debate is the length of time necessary to stay on top of your improvisation skills. Especially if you do it for... I'll restart that over. I know this is live. Depending on how long you've been playing and how much work you've done with improvisation practice or jamming, like when you're very, very new to it, you can certainly benefit from longer practice sessions because you're new to it. So when you have been playing for a long time and you're just trying to maintain the jamming skills, your improvisation skills, you don't need as much time to do so. So if you're in like a maintenance phase with improvising, if you're in a maintenance phase with improvising, 5 to 10 minutes, even just a few days a week, I think is plenty. Of course, it'll vary from person to person. Some people may need a little bit more. Some people, maybe they just need it once a week. So some experimenting is necessary for everybody to figure out, well, what works for them. Because if I made myself practice 30 minutes a day of just improvising, I would get bored. I would get sick of it. I would want to do something else. I don't want to practice improv 30 minutes every day. So anyway, it is a person-to-person thing. But yes, if you want to get good at improvisation, jamming, you got to do it. And that's the only way to get good at it. And the same thing with recording, as he said. If you want to get good at recording and writing your own music, you just have to do it and do it again and again and again. One thing I like to do, I've talked about, one of these live streams I will do it, is let's take a song that's not very metal at all and turn it into a metal song. Like basically rip it off and change things to make it that. Or take a metal song that you really like and just kind of change things enough to kind of make it your own. So that's something we're going to do eventually on this channel. Take something like an Iron Maiden song, like The Trooper, and use like the same rhythmic structure for most of the stuff, but just tweak things around to show that you can make your own stuff by taking what other people have done, but just changing it. I mean, that's basically what songwriting is anyway. Like, it's very difficult to be 100% original, because I mean, we're just playing the same 12 notes all the time. So coming up with something 100% original, yeah, good luck. Good luck. All right, we're going to move on to the next video. Okay, this next one is called...
In this video, I'm going to talk...
Whoa. This is called Write a Great Melody with This Formula. Sentence Form in Music Composition. There we go. And this is from the channel Ryan Leach. This was released about a year ago. All right, Mr. Ryan Leach, what are you going to teach us today? And apparently he's very excited about this. All right, are you excited? Let's go.
Talk about the sentence form, which I'm pretty excited about. Yes, I am the kind of person who gets excited about musical forms. In this video, I'm going to talk about the sentence form, which I'm pretty excited about. Yes, I am the kind of person who gets excited about musical forms. Because when I really understood what makes the different parts of this form work, it completely changed my writing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ryan. I'm a composer for film, TV, and video games, but I also love figuring out and talking about the way that writing music works. For more videos about form, music theory, and everything related to writing music, please remember to subscribe. So there are two fundamental formulas or structures I use when writing music. Last time I talked about the period form, and today we'll talk about the sentence form. The sentence is an under-discussed form, but it's really powerful. It can work really well for main themes, B themes, intros, outros, transitions, pretty much anything. A lot of books about musical form only focus on the period, and then when you go and listen to a lot of real music, what they describe doesn't really match up with what you're hearing. The first time I heard about the sentence as a distinct form was in Arnold Schoenberg's Fundamentals of Musical Composition. You might know of Schoenberg as the father of atonal music, but his understanding of tonal harmony is really solid, and his books are really good if you ever get a chance to read one. But I didn't really come to appreciate what made the sentence form different from the period and why those differences mattered until I read Analyzing Classical Form by William Kaplan. And there I really understood how the different parts can give you a really different trajectory for your theme. So there's a lot to get through in this video. First, I'll talk about what the sentence form is, and we'll look at what I call the textbook example from Beethoven. Then I'll talk a bit about what makes the sentence different from the period and when you might want to use one or the other. We'll take a look at a second example from Spirited Away. Then I'll write a brand new melody using the sentence form to show you how useful and easy the structure is. And to finish it off, I'll talk about why learning about the sentence form was such a game changer for me. So let's get into what the form actually is. We'll do a quick overview and then we'll go into more detail. You start with a 2-bar basic idea. You repeat the basic idea with or without variation. Bars 5 and 6 are called the continuation, and this is where things have a feeling of forward motion, and that leads us to a cadence that closes off the theme. So let's take a listen to the opening theme from Beethoven's F minor Piano Sonata.
We'll listen to the music at normal speed. If you haven't noticed, I'm playing things back at 1.5 times speed. Feel it would be appropriate for what we're doing here. All right, let's take a nice look at that. Tempted to start writing something myself right now. So we are definitely going to try this ourselves. We're going to do a metal version of this after we see what he has to teach us here. So this could be a really cool idea. I have no idea what the period thing is he's talking about. I don't know if it means like classical music period, because he did bring up classical music as an example. So we're definitely learning something right now. At least I am.
The theme. So let's take a listen to the opening theme from Beethoven's F minor Piano Sonata. Just like we did with the period form, he starts with a 2-bar basic idea. But what the sentence does differently is that instead of responding with a contrasting idea, we repeat the basic idea. It could be an exact repetition, it could be varied. In the case of the Beethoven, he's kept the line roughly the same pitch register, but adapted it to the 5 chord. There's no question that it's a repetition of what we just heard before, being played in a different way. What's really important about these first 4 bars, which Kaplan calls the presentation, is that there's a feeling of harmonic stability. A lot of times this can mean that there's a pedal tone holding the tonic underneath, or the whole thing is on the 1 chord. But generally there's just a lack of kind of harmonic progression, harmonic forward movement. Even if you are using different chords or different harmonies, the chords aren't necessarily telling a story, and especially there's not really a strong sense of cadence. So for example, in the Beethoven, when he repeats the basic idea, he modifies it to the 5 chord. But just because we have a 1 chord going to 5, we don't really get a feeling of like a 1 to 5 half cadence. There's not really this harmonic direction. It's more like oscillating harmonies. And when we return to the tonic in bar 5, it still feels like we're kind of hovering around that 1 home tonic space. If you look at the bass line, you can even see he's using an inversion, so we're getting this neighbor tone motion, which is not as forceful as using the root position chords. But next is where the magic happens, because in bars 5 and 6 we have the continuation. I like to think of the continuation as the moment where we have motion and movement in the theme, and a lot of times the way we get that is by having more of something. This might mean more motivic units in less time, or more chords per bar, or a more active rhythm. Generally there's just a sense of more, because we're getting motion, we're getting forward movement, things are actually happening and driving us towards the end. Whatever it is, there's a sense that we're being moved from point A of the beginning to point B of the cadence. So in the case of the Beethoven, for the continuation, you can see he reaches towards a new melodic high point, so more pitch height. He has a climbing motion in the bass line. He has a new chord every bar instead of just a new chord every 2 bars. And all those things come together to make this middle section feel really exciting and really energetic. You really get swept along. And then in bar 7 and 8, just like in the period form, we have a cadence. And just like in the period form, this doesn't have to mean that the piece is over. This could be a perfect cadence, it could be a half cadence. What it really means is that there's some sort of sense of punctuation, that there's a breath. This is really important so that your listener can have a moment to process what they just heard, to have a little breath and space before the new things that you're about to give to them. If you neglect to have clear cadences in your piece, you're essentially writing run-on sentences. It would be like writing an essay with no punctuation marks, no indentation, no line breaks for new paragraphs. It would just be a rambling mess. So don't neglect your cadences. So Beethoven does a few nice things with his cadence here. After having a very active melody, he simply...
Now, I've heard the word cadence many times. And if a student asked me, what is a cadence? I would have to say, I don't know. I don't know exactly what a cadence is. I was never taught this one, and I've never looked it up. So I'm going to look it up in just a second, and let's get an actual definition of it. But what I can gather here is cadence is like some kind of conclusion. Like it feels like something is resolving. But hey, anyone in the YouTube comment section, do you know the definition of cadence? I'm going to wait a second. I'll noodle for a bit, see if anyone has an answer before I go and just look up the definition. But yeah, going on with what he's talking about here, it also seems like it's very much like how I write things, and also like a lot of bands that I listen to already do. Like, at the chord progression that ends on, does that mean we can't have a cadence if it's just single note stuff? Well, let's find out. Let's get an official definition. Well, that's a terrible definition. How do I want to do this? Let's zoom in on that. There we go. There's a definition here. The beat, time, or measure of rhythmical emotion or activity. That seems like it could be all kinds of things. Lord Potato says cadence means the end of a musical phrase. So yeah, like how it resolves. The type of resolution. So, which makes sense. It goes along with what he's saying about making it sound like whatever you're playing has like a definitive type of end, so it doesn't seem like just a run-on sentence. So anyway, let's read a bit more here. So yeah, cadence means, in simple terms, the beat, time, or measure of rhythmical motion or activity. And that could mean some. That's so vague though. Example: the drill sergeant counted cadence. the steady cadence of the drums, a rhythmic sequence or flow of sound in language, the grand cadence of his poetry. I think it's too vague of a definition. Like cadence is just, it's rhythmic. Ooh. Plagal cadence. Let's look that up too. Cadence in music. Cadence in music, the ending of a phrase perceived as a rhythmic or melodic articulation or harmonic change, or all of these. In a larger sense, a cadence may be a demarcation of a half phrase of a section of music or of an entire movement. Good Lord. You ever read a definition or explanation of something and it's just such a weird way of wording things, you're left thinking, what? Let's read that again. In cadence in music, the ending of a phrase, perceived as a rhythmic or melodic articulation of a harmonic change, or all of these. Let's see. The term derives from the Latin cadere, how to frickin' know, to fall, and originally referred to the stepwise descent of the tenor part. Yeah. Half cadence ends a phrase on a dominant chord. I'm just going to go with cadence as like an ending. I think it's just like another way of saying the ending, because it looks like there's all kinds of ways to describe it. Cadence, like they're right there. Hey, plagal cadence, you just said it. There it is. And the plagal cadence, the subdominant 4-chord triad leads to the tonic 1. So basically using the, like, playing an F major chord before going to the C chord could be something. Yeah, it's just basically, it means the ending of something. It's the conclusion. Cadence is like a conclusion. That's what it seems to be. So they have a deceptive cadence begins with 5, the 5 chord, the dominant chord, like an authentic cadence. So a deceptive cadence begins with a 5, like an authentic cadence, except that it does not end in the tonic. Ooh. Often the triad built on the 6th degree, the 6th, the submediant substitutes for the tonic. Anyway, well, there we go. Basically, what I gather, cadence is conclusion. It's a conclusion, and you have various types of conclusions you can use. Well, goddamn. There you go. Let's get this back to where it was. I think that works. All right, continuing.
Simplifies the rhythm and has it descend back down. Both of these things help to give us kind of a calming feeling after the rush of that continuation. He ends on the 5 chord for a half cadence, and he has a fermata, which allows for some space before he moves into the next part of the piece. There's a very strong feeling of breath or punctuation, demarcation, that first theme has ended, and we're getting prepared and ready for more to come. So now that we've talked about the different details of the theme, let's listen through it one more time and hear how it all comes together. Comes together. So how does the sentence form compare with the period form? If you haven't watched my video on the period form yet, you might want to head over, check that out first, and then come back over here. In some ways, the period and the sentence form are identical for like 75% of the time. They both start with a 2-bar basic idea, they both have a repetition of that idea, and they both end with a cadence. What's really different about them is what happens in the middle and the way that that repetition of the basic idea is handled. So if you remember in the period, after the basic idea, we have a contrasting idea, and then a return to the basic idea. There's definitely a sense of balance, and also that the first time we said something, it was kind of a question, now we're saying it again, and you're expecting some sort of resolution. In contrast, the sentence stays pretty static by repeating that basic idea. It's kind of really holding us down. We're gonna need something more. By the second time through, we're ready for something to happen, and then we get that continuation. So there's a lot of energy and motion in the middle of the theme. When you hear the first 2 bars of a theme, there's really no way through, we're ready for something to happen.
It's like with this idea here. Basic idea, contrasting. Basic idea, cadence. So I would say, if I'm understanding this correctly, it seems like you have like a riff here at the beginning. Something that is not that riff at all. go back to the beginning riff and then something that kind of resolves it. So let's maybe try something real simple here to explore this idea. Let's see what's in my head. It's more bars than he's got up there, but I think that's about the right idea. Something like that. Like play this thing. Something else. And then if I did something else again, if I do exactly how he's got it there, to me it feels unnatural to make it go end that soon, but then again, that's just the first thing that popped into my head. Maybe something like... There, simplified. I like the other one better. But that goes more in line with what he's got here. And if we switch it to this one here, then it would be something more like... I think that's the idea. Let's continue.
And then we get that continuation. So there's a lot of energy and motion in the middle of the theme. When you hear the first two bars of a theme, there's really no way to know which way it's going to go. Is this going to be a period? Is this going to be a sentence? Until you get to bar 3. And that might be true when you're writing as well. So how do you decide which one to use when? I like to oversimplify it a bit and think of the period form as being kind of stability and balance and calmness, contrasted with the sentence form, which is energy and action and motion. So if I was writing a love theme or maybe a simple march, I might lean towards the period form. If I was writing an adventure theme or the opening allegro to a sonata, I'm probably going to use the sentence. So to borrow and twist a metaphor from the author Carol Berger, I like to think of the period as a circle and the sentence as an arrow. There are plenty of cases where you could use either theme in any context, but kind of oversimplifying this, putting them in these two separate camps, helps me make quick decisions when I'm writing about which direction I'm going to take my theme. So our next example of a sentence form comes from Joe Hisayushi's score to Spirited Away from the track One Summer's Day. So the first thing we have, as expected, is a 2-bar basic idea. In bars 3 and 4, we have a repeat of this idea, but it's down a step, and there's some subtle but kind of insignificant rhythmic variation. There is no doubt to anyone listening that even with those slight changes, bars 3 and 4 are a repetition of bars 1 and 2. Notice the harmony in the first 4 bars. There is this 4-5-1 progression, but it's positioned in such a way that it's almost more affirming of C major than it is a harmonic movement kind of use of chords. There's not really a strong sense of cadence or punctuation happening in these first 4 bars. Really, it just kind of feels like we're sitting around in C major territory. And especially because of that repetition of the basic idea, there's a lot of stability. Things are kind of staying in place. It's not until the continuation when things really start to move, and he uses 2 very classic continuation moves when we get there. The phrasing fragments from 2-bar ideas down to 1-bar ideas. And the harmony moves by step, which is very active and tangible harmonic motion. By tangible, I mean you can really feel this forward motion in the chords with the stepwise progression. The fragments and the stepwise climb carry us all the way into the cadence. If I had to, I guess I would name this a G7 sus4 flat 9 chord. If you took that C and put it down just a half step, you'd have a kind of traditional G7 flat 9 chord. The actual chord itself is not important as much as the feeling that it gives us. And that feeling to me is very strongly of a half cadence. There's this unresolved punctuation mark. It really feels like there's a breath, there's a pause, but we want more. So we've looked at all the separate parts. Now let's listen to the whole theme to hear how they come together.
Yeah, so it really does sound like the yellow part, the beginning is kind of like the same feel or the same mood. It sounds like, and then you get to this part here. It's like the energy increases somewhat, and then here, like you said, it's almost like it's certainly a conclusion, but as he put it, it's almost like it has a feeling of suspense there. It's like you know that the phrase has come to an end, but there's a little bit of tension left in there still. So do once more, and hey, if you got a flat 9 in there, that's a great way to add some tension for sure.
So now let's write a brand new melody in the sentence form so you can see how easy it is to use and maybe some of the differences from the period form. Any of the moments where I'm kind of noodling around to the piano, just kind of exploring for ideas, I'm probably just going to skip ahead through so this doesn't take forever. So you can see we're starting here with a blank page, which usually is just the worst thing ever. But knowing we have this formula, the sentence form, it's actually going to make things pretty easy. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick a key. For the period form video, I use C major, so I don't want to be too boring. I'm going to pick something a little different. Maybe we could use a minor key. How about G minor or something? I'm picking that somewhat at random. So we need to come up with some sort of basic idea on the G minor thing. That's going to be kind of the basic, the main motive that's going to drive the rest of the theme. Exploring on the keyboard right now. So I've got a basic idea here. And the great thing about the sentence form is the next thing I have to do is repeat it. So I'm going to copy paste that over here. So I could just stay on the G minor, keep it exactly how it is. I could maybe move the whole thing up a third. I kind of like that idea. Or move it down to the E flat. I'm leaning towards moving down to the E flat. G minor, E flat are both tonic harmonies. The 1 minor and the flat 6 major are both kind of tonic chord functions. So we're not really changing the chord function. It's really more of a kind of color harmonic change than a functional one. So just one more time where we are so far, halfway done. Now we get to the interesting part, the continuation. So probably what I'm going to do is try to fragment this down. This was 2-bar ideas before. I want to look into my existing motivic material and see where can I get kind of half as much information crammed in, and chop out some of it. So I think that this right here is some of the more interesting material with that rhythm going on. So I might try to explore that, especially that. So probably what I'm going to try to do is sequence that whole thing moving up towards some sort of climax. One thing I noticed is that G minor goes down a third to the E flat, so maybe I could go down a third again into a C minor. That would land us on some subdominant harmony, and that would be a good place to start off the motion, this kind of driving progression we're going to want to lead us into the final cadence. So we'll have this. So now I'm going to try to adapt my motive into some sort of fragment that will work well over that C minor from where we left off. As I've mentioned before, the ending of your theme a lot of times is the simplest, most easiest part. It's the part that people don't remember because you're kind of liquidating your ideas, you're simplifying things down. Keep your interesting motivic material towards the beginning, in the middle, and then at the end, simmer everything down, lead us back home. All right, so here's playback with Sibelius just providing left-hand part for us. So why was it such a big deal for me when I discovered the sentence form? Well, for so long, I had no problem coming up with ideas and starting, but eventually I'd hit a point where I got stuck. I felt like I needed some sort of motion. I needed something to kind of continue things forward, to get the piece moving. I might have 8 bars, I might be able to repeat those 8 bars so many times, and then I would just feel like things were very static. Maybe I'd just been layering on top. It was getting bigger and bigger, but it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't until I really understood the continuation section of the sentence and how that gives us so much movement, especially how it gives us movement in contrast to the basic ideas before it, that I really discovered how to get forward motion, how to get things moving, and especially driving towards a certain destination, the cadence. So now I use the sentence form all the time. Whenever I have any kind of transition section, I'm going to be using the sentence form. When I have a B theme, most of my A themes even use this form because that continuation is so flexible. It gives you forward motion. You can extend it and repeat the sections within for as long as you need, which is really helpful for scoring a scene. And it really gave me what I was missing before of that idea of forward motion, of actually going somewhere, of something really happening in my music that I didn't have before. There is a lot you can do with the sentence form, even within the constraints it has. So you can extend the form and make it longer, you can shrink it down and make it shorter, you could drop the repeat of the basic idea, you could get super adventurous with that continuation section. So please let me know if you're interested in more videos about the sentence form, how it compares to the period form, how we can make that continuation section even more adventurous, more interesting, and how to really exploit the potential it has within it. And also some of the hybrid forms where the period and sentence kind of merge together into different things. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it when those videos come out. Check out my video on how to write a B theme, which I almost always use the sentence form for, and please leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to see next. I'll see you next time.
All right, very cool stuff there. I get the restroom here. So once I get back, I'm going to use this whole idea of basically what he talked about. Let's write some, like maybe 3 metal-y things using that idea, and I'll be right back. back. Alright, let's turn this off. So, I need to go back to that previous video.
In this video, I'm going to talk about...
And let's add this to the video description. So, keep track of everything we watched today. I think one good thing about watching stuff like this or learning these writing ideas is, well, you learn new ideas. I always thought it was kind of ridiculous on, like, you know, when you read books or watch videos, like how to write a hit song. It's like, or how to write a song. It's like, you can't really teach people how to write a song. All you can really do is discuss what's been done and talk about things that have been done that people like. So you could describe, well, this is what happens in popular music or popular songs. But then it's up to you to fiddle around with the notes and come up with stuff. So learning ideas like this, I think, can be very helpful to create new ideas. So let's see, I'm getting a few things going here. We have this, and then oh, the size changed on me. Okay, let's do this. Ooh, that's kind of weird. Hold on. I'm looking to close something. Why is this showing up twice? How am I not seeing it on here? Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm like trying to figure out where in here. That's not it. That's not it. When there, oh, there it is, for God's sake. All right, found it. Oh, that was lovely. Okay. Move that over a bit. Move this back. Crap. There. All right, let's get back to where this idea was. Let's get this idea here. All right, so we use this as our little template. And that's not showing up 100%. That's better. All right, so we'll do the same amount of bars, 8 bars. Obviously, he's using piano and he's using chord progressions along with this. So as far as like metal guitar writing, you can certainly use something like a bass line to fill that in. You could have a lead part and guitar chords, but maybe let's not do that quite yet. Let's see. So we have got to have like a main theme that's basically played twice, like some kind of riff done 2 times in a row. We'll just do super generic metal to begin with. identify the key. Oh, it changed only there. Whoops. There we go. All right. All right, so just like he did, we'll just copy and paste that. So we got that done twice so far. Maybe we'll do that for the purple part. What did he call this section? I can't remember. Who remembers? I don't remember what he said it was. Continuation. Oh, there we go. We'll just use that. Basic idea done twice, and you got the continuation where it gets busier. No, what did I goof up? Ah, that's what. There. Okay. Palm mute those. Palm mute that. Palm mute. Palm mute. Palm mute. Palm mute. And then, whoops. Let's see.
Forward motion. And that leads.
And then the cadence, the thing that makes it an obvious. We're done with this part. Let's see. Probably do something I did earlier. I like that because I kept doing it before. I love that chord. C suspended sharp 4. It's so Lydian. So what the hell would that be? That would just be dotted. No. Every beat and a half. Comes in on the 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. There. We got ourselves a riff using this approach. I screwed it up. There we go. Originally I said I'd be doing like 3 things. I don't know. Let's do maybe twice. 2 things. Let's do something else here. Can't really see that too well, can you? Let's try and zoom in a bit here. So if anyone wants to screenshot that, they can. Alright, so there's the riff using this style of writing. There we go. Well, now that's bigger. Let's do it one more time. That was incorrect. There. Okay. Let's do one more. Do something a bit more intense. Let's see if I got enough bars to follow the same thing. Get rid of the key because this is going to be more atonal. This is very similar to the rhythm I was just doing. We're just using 16th notes instead of 8th notes. I wasn't even trying to do it that way. It just came out like that. Huh. Well, we know what rhythm I like to use. Let's see. Hang on, I do that right, so... Nope, I need 2 more in here. So it's not going to be exactly the same. We're going to have a small change, but that is one thing he talked about. You can have, following this writing style, like the basic idea repeated, but it can have a little variation if you want. But it's basically the same thing. So I'm going to do, this is still fairly generic to me. So I'm not trying to be crazy creative right now, just doing things. up. I'm using the half whole diminished scale right now. E, half whole diminished. Alright, so that was a step. So that'll be 6, and that'll be 7. Turn that off. Alright, that's what I got. Alright, so now the continuation part where more movement. Let's see. Something to give some energy. Let's see. Oh no, I'm out of space. Did I play it wrong? Am I writing it wrong? Ah, okay, that's what I did wrong. Alright, now we need our cadence. Play through that first. Go. That'll make an obvious punctuation at the end. Dun, 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 bum, bum, dun, dun, dun. I guess similar rhythm as before. I'm repeating myself. So 1, 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. There we go. We got our second metal riff using this style. we go. Another way of using this. What can you come up with? Hey, if anyone writes things using this method, share it. Share it. So let's play that. Let's try play this again. I played it wrong. I'm glad you like it, Potato. Thank you. Well, hot damn. All right. I think that's a fitting conclusion to this video response. Let's do a third. Let's keep this rolling. How long have we been going? We've been streaming for about an hour and 20 minutes. All right, good stuff. Let's minimize that. Maximize this. Remove this from our write a great melody. I guess I didn't really write a melody, though. I just wrote riffs. Whatever. Remove from what's there. Okay. The best chords to follow to in major keys. All right, that's 20 minutes long. I think we'll save that one. Let's go to this simple Yngwie lick. Will make you better. Will it? Will it? Let's find out.
It's that time again.
It's that time again. Mile High Shred is just watching other people's stuff. Alright, trying to get some things adjusted here. Let's shrink myself. Okay. What time is it, sir?
It's Yngwie time.
Oh.
Alright, so today we are diving into Ship of Fools, one of my favorite Yngwie songs off my absolute favorite Yngwie album, Attack. I think its tone and everything is just amazing on this album. So before we get into that, I am tuned down a half step. So just like Yngwie, he's pretty much always half step down, it seems.
Well, son of a bitch. Do I really want to deal with tuning down a half step? Not particularly. I need a guitar. I can just tune down a half step real quick. I don't want to mess with this one. That might not be a big deal. Let's, here, we'll do a quick tuning session. But then again, this is a Floyd Rose. Alright, I'm gonna grab my Monson here real quick, so this way we can have a guitar tuned down a half step. So, even though I'm not in the bathroom, I'll just put this up anyway. Because I'll be right back. Whoop. Alright, time to tune up here. I lost my clip-on tuner. It's in here somewhere. It's in this house somewhere. It's the most high-end one Sweetwater carried. Damn it. Alright, tuning down a half step. Perhaps I will make my Monson guitar the half step down guitar. Of course, I got that Schecter behind me that still needs the arm contour put on it. That has the Sustainiac. I really do like the Sustainiac. Does anyone know if there is a sustain pedal that is equal to a Sustainiac pickup? Does anyone have a sustain pedal that they like? I would think this Boss GT1000 would have some kind of option like that. I just haven't looked into it. God, I really need to change these strings. This is disgusting. Shame on me. Anyone recognize that song? Potato Mike. All right, we are tuned down a half step. We can follow the lesson now. Let's get back to it.
And we're all the way up here, and we're starting on 17th fret of the high string. Now, if you have not done this style of pedal tone exercise before, I shouldn't say exercise, just lick, you can use this as a really good exercise. It's so fun. I practice a lot of this stuff because it just sounded like music. So I'm on 17th fret of the high E string, and I'm going to go to 15th.
I just want to play this, looking at it. Huh. I wonder what he's going to use to get into that, because I played a riff. I'll play it again. I asked if anyone recognized it. I said Potato Mike. It was this. That last part's not correct, but the first part was. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Fret on the high E and back to 17th fret. Now, when we're referring to a pedal tone, there's usually a repeating note or sequence that you're always going back to. So for this one, we are always going back to the 17th fret on the high E string. Okay, then you're going to go to 13 on the high E string, back to 17, 12 on the high E string, and back to 17. So, okay, back to 17 again, and then 15 on the B. It's the only time we change strings. So. Okay, now, you can sit there and just cycle through that one and get that under your fingers first. I'm starting with a down pick, and I'm just using alternate picking throughout the whole thing. I'm pretty sure Yngwie is also alternate picking this. We're just down, up, oh, not that. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up the whole time. So that B string note will end up being on an up. Now, for the next one, Yngwie is essentially changing chords. You know, you could view it as being out of the key of A. That's what's happening in the background. But he's, you know, pretty much outlining chords when he does this. Now, we have a new pedal tone here. We're going to go to 13th fret on the high E string. That is our pedal note now. So remember, we're going to repeat that after every other note. So 13, 12, 13, 10, 13 on the high E string. Back to 13. Stretch all the way down to 8, kind of a big stretch. Then 13. So back to that 13, and then 12 on the B. And then the sequence would start over again if you wanted to repeat it. Keep in mind, Yngwie is doing each of these only one time though, so it's pretty fast transitions and switches for your hands. Okay, so if you have to, just practice those too. Now he moves up again. Think of this like he's outlining a C. So you're going to go to 15th fret on the high E string, and then to 13, then 15. So obviously the 15th fret on the high E string is our pedal this time. We're always going to be referencing that one after each other note. Okay, so 15, 13, 15. Then you're going to go to 12 on the high E, 15 on the B, stretch all the way down to 10, 15, and then 13 on the B. What's nice is your picking stays the same, so those B string notes should all hit on that upstroke. Okay, so those three would be next you're going to go shifting down again. 12 is now our pedal note, so you're going to go 12 on the high E string, to 10, back to 12, then you're going to go to 8, back to 12, stretch all the way down to 7, 12, and this time, 10th fret on the B is that B string note. Okay, again, cycle it. The fingerings on most of these are pretty similar, so. I just love how it just sounds like music, and I can sit here and practice stuff like this for hours and hours, and it just is a lot of fun. Okay, now we're actually gonna kind of repeat one that we've done. We're gonna go 13, 12, 13 on the high string, then 10, 13, 8, 13, 12 on the B. Okay, so we have. Now these last two are a little bit different. This one I think is like the most difficult one out of all of them. You're pedaling on 10th fret on the high string. You're gonna go 10, 8, 10, 7, back to 10, stretch all the way down to 5, back to 10, and then 9th fret. You gotta use your ring finger, at least I do, for that note. It kind of throws you off if you're not used to that one. Really good one because it uses all 4 of your fingers. Okay, and the final one is almost identical to one that we did before. We're gonna go 12th fret on the high string to 10, 12, then 8, then back to 12. Okay? After that 12, you go to 7, 12, and he adds a different ending here. This little part here, you're gonna go 10th fret on the B string, to 12th fret on the high string, 9th fret on the B, to 12, and back to 10 on the B. Oh. That's the entire sequence. Just keep where you can do each one at a time, then try to combine 2 of them together, and then eventually you want to get to where you can do the whole thing real nice and put together. Then you just go crazy, and you go Yngwie bend. And I think that's it, guys. Like I said, this is just one of those things that I like to learn these because they're just fun, and you can practice them, and it doesn't really feel like you're practicing. You're kind of like tricking yourself. So that's going to be it. The tabs are going to be linked down below. If you would, subscribe, leave a comment with other guys that you would like to see in these short little video lesson series. And, yo, I'm going to bounce on out.
All right, I have nothing really to add. Let's see. It says the tabs are in the video description. Let's check it out. Tabs here. App.convert. What? Oh, God. What's going to happen when I click on this? 404, the page you're looking for doesn't exist. Well, I gotta let my lovely video editor know that just cut that whole section out. We're not making a video out of that. Although for anyone watching the archive thing, like, will that lick make you better? If you can't play it, sure, it can make you better. because anything you learn that pushes you into your or pushes you out of your comfort zone, anything that pushes you out of your comfort zone and you learn new things, yeah, you'll get better. You'll get better at that riff. It won't translate to everything, but it can translate to a lot of stuff. So anyway, well, there you go. Let's we're definitely doing a different video then. I'll remove that one. Let's see. Been wanting to get to another Bernth video, because that certainly brought some good stuff my way before. Let's see. All right, let's do this. We're going to end with a Bernth video, and it is called 5 Easy Shred Licks That Sound Advanced.
Welcome back.
So let this, and boom. All right. So what I plan on doing here for this last part, let's see what these 5 easy shred licks are that sound advanced, and let's see how many of these can I play. How many of these can you play?
Back Shred Gang. Since almost all of you requested it on Patreon this month, we work on some amazing sounding shred licks together today. And great news, they all sound and look quite advanced, but they are actually not that hard. Here's how this works. Who knows, maybe this will become Guitar YouTube's favorite show. So first I will play a fast and slow version of each lick for you, followed by a quick tutorial and explanation concerning the techniques you will use. And there's also a twist with every single one. A small but very important detail that makes each lick sound much harder than it actually is. It's really almost like revealing a magic trick in some cases. After watching today's video until the end so that you get to know each lick, you should head over to patreon.com/Bernd, because there you will find video play-alongs, tabs, guitar profiles and backing tracks for each lick, and also 5 additional killer exclusive licks with the complete Shred Lick package. That way you will never run out of awesome shred ideas again. Let's do this.
That certainly sounds advanced. Apparently it's easy though. Well, let's find out. How easy is it really? I see he's got economy picking going here, which is something I suck at. Alright, we got to get the old metronome going. Let's turn that off. Metronome. He's got his set at 50, huh? Okay. All right, let's get familiar with these notes here. Let's see how well I can do. Oh Lord, it's so easy. I've already screwed it up. Let me just get the notes first, forget the picking. And that's easy, huh? Got it picking how, down, up, down, up, down, down. Quite like he is. Let's try building this up. See what I can get to here. Because I'm not going to be playing it as fast as he did right away. This is really weird playing it. It's like it's fucking odd. All right, here comes 120. Can I do it? Have I earned the right? Kind of want to think. I can't think of anything else to say for that. Have I earned the right to practice 16th notes with this thing? Ugh, that was awful. Of course, I think I got in my head. Now I'm screwed up. Damn it. Well, that was behind. Whew. Well, there's 120. Man, how fast did he play that? A lot faster than I did. Damn.
This is a pretty cool and unique sounding lick, and here's why you should learn it. So first of all, the main focus with this lick is on the note repetitions in there. So right at the beginning I'm playing A on the 17th fret on the high E string, E on the 12th fret on the high E string, and E once again right here on the 17th fret on the B string. This is because I'm stretching pretty far for the entire lick and I end up with a lot of note repetitions, and that sounds pretty crazy. I'm actually playing the E minor pentatonic scale, but instead of the classic 2-note per string approach that you're probably familiar with, I'm extending it for a 3-note per string approach. So this is the popular stretch pentatonic shape. So the exact same notes, but I'm playing 3 notes per string instead of 2 notes per string. And here's the little extra trick and secret for you. I'm not playing the note in the middle, and that's why I'm ending up with this crazy shape right here. And one more trick for better and more creative licks, I'm also working with odd note grouping right here. So I'm playing groups of 5 instead of your usual groups of 2 or 4. So I'm playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's obviously more interesting than just playing it up or down. And why is this actually easier than it looks? First of all, the shape is really, really easy to memorize. It's almost the same for every single string, with the exception of the G string where I need my ring finger. But for all the other strings, it's exactly the same. And the second reason why it's easier than it looks and sounds is because I can work with economy picking right here. Maybe you've seen it already. Instead of alternate picking everything, I'm playing down, up, down, up, down, down. So there's a small sweeping motion in there. And this pattern is
wonder if I'd have an easier time if I alternate pick the whole way. So it's cool the way he broke that down. Now it's making me think about it in different ways. Because if you're looking at it that way, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, he can certainly play it a hell of a lot faster than me. I'm not going to try and get it going that fast. It's pretty interesting, though. Definitely.
Simply repeat it throughout the entire lick.
Was that a whole tone? Yes, it is a whole tone lick. Looks like stuff that I've done before. Oh, that's good. Nice and sloppy. Why you go straight to the 12 there? That screwed me up. Well, I got that one at least. All right, 1 out of 5.
And here's why you should learn this one. So first of all, this is the really cool and kind of dissonant sound of the whole tone scale. Sounds pretty crazy. And this one is really good for your hammer-ons and pull-offs. As you can see, I'm not really playing a lot of picking strokes with this lick. So you get this really cool fluid and kind of liquid sound with that one. If hammer-ons and pull-offs at high speeds are still problematic for you, I made a full legato online course for Patreon recently. Make sure to check that one out. But the coolest thing right here is the sound of the whole tone scale, which you probably don't use too much. And it's actually quite simple. Here's how the A whole tone scale looks like when I just play it on one string. So as the name suggests, really just whole tones. So once again, the scale is really easy to memorize. And once you start thinking like this across all strings, you get this really easy to memorize fingering. So once again, a really easy but extremely cool sounding scale shape you should definitely memorize. But I know what you're probably thinking. This lick looks pretty hard. What's actually easy about it? Well, first of all, you're really just moving the exact same fingering. So index finger, middle finger, and pinky finger, in my case, to different locations on different strings.
So he said first, second, fourth, and he did say in his case. So for me, you may have saw I use my ring finger. So I used to be a big stickler, or always insist my students always do whole step stretches with these 3 fingers. But after more learning myself, I mean, why would I tell Berth he's doing it wrong, you know? So you could use your first, third, and fourth, or you could use your first, second, and fourth. I think the most important thing is you do it consistently. So if you're going to be using your first, second, and fourth down here, you should also use it up here to minimize thinking and make things easier in the long run.
So it's the exact same pattern all the time. And since you're not picking every single note, you don't have to worry about hand synchronization or mastering those string transitions with fast alternate picking. You can really just focus on your timing with your fretting hand and making all of those notes audible with your hammer-ons and pull-offs. You can just train the basic pattern on one string. And then as soon as you get a feeling for it, you just spread it all across the fretboard with the exact same fingering and get this awesome sounding but actually quite simple lick. Just a quick mission update before we continue with the shredding. As you know, we're trying to get guitar to the top of the YouTube charts in Austria. Right now we're number 90 and we have to overtake a sports channel named Elias Schwärzler. I'm sure that's a great channel, but we want to push guitar to the top, of course. So let's do this together. Make sure to shred over that subscribe button right now. Let's show the world that the guitar is still relevant.
Whoops! Shit. Let's listen to that at regular speed. Sounded very diminished. I want that bar out of the way. It's definitely diminished. Alright, let's try this one. Yoink. Okay. So, 16th note pattern. That's not a 12. There it is. He does an upstroke on that as well? Okay. See, I would want to do a downstroke there. So I'm going to do a downstroke instead, because that works better for me. It makes more sense to my hand too. Is he slide? Well, he doesn't have a slide indicated there. Like that? Wait a minute, did he do that or did he forget to put a slide in? Well, I'm going to slide down to that, even if he does do a humongous stretch like that. To hell with that. Okay, so he forgot to put a slide up here. So he slides up to the 9, or he slides from the 9 to the 12 back to the 9. He's doing a pinky slide. Okay, that makes more sense. Alright, let's try that then. I prefer doing the lick that way. I don't like pinky slides. I'm going to use my index instead. Alright, now I can't do this one quick right away because I'm not too familiar with the pattern. Let's see where we can get. Can I get to at least 120? Oh boy, maybe not. Oh man, trying to play that blind is tough. Lord. got it memorized now, well enough. Wrong. Pinky keeps making a chord. There we go. That's it. All right, here comes the 120. Good. Yay. Ooh. That's tough to control. Come on, damn it. Whew. How fast did he play that? Good damn it. About 160? Yeah, I don't think I'm pulling this one off at 160 today. Nope. Alright, well that's 2 licks I can't play as fast as he did right now. Oh well. But that's alright. See, that happens when you're learning a brand new thing.
Pretty cool sound, but why?
Diminished scale.
First of all, this one is based on E diminished arpeggios.
Diminished
This is kind of cool sound, but instead of playing just one arpeggio shape up and down, like we all do way too much, you're interestingly switching between different shapes with slides. And I know it looks crazy at first, but once again, it's much, much easier than it looks and sounds. The first reason for that is the symmetry of those diminished arpeggios. For this lick, you really just have to memorize one easy shape. You can just move this one up or down in minor thirds, so just 3 frets down or 3 frets up to get the next diminished arpeggio. So when I'm moving down with this lick, I'm just taking this shape, then I'm moving it here, and then right here. And then I'm just connecting those shapes interestingly with slides, but I'm really just seeing this one shape that I'm moving in minor thirds across the neck. And here's a really cool sweep picking trick for the first lick. That is a really cool pattern. And to escape the dead zone between the strings that we don't want to touch to avoid unwanted sweep picking trick for the first lick. That is a really cool pattern. And to escape the dead zone between the strings that we don't want to touch to avoid unwanted noise, I'm just working with upstrokes right here. That makes it really easy for me to play this pattern. So I'm just playing upstrokes right here.
String skipping? Yes, indeed. Oh, lordy lord. Oh, this is a fairly long one. Oh, that's going to make it tough for me to get. Well, let's take a look at the first part. He's obviously doing a pattern of some sort. So he's got basically tripleted 16s to 16th notes. Assuming it's going to be something like that. I will say, what is the name of this video again? 5 easy shred licks that sound advanced. I'll say this now. Easy. Easy for who? When I see easy, I'm thinking beginner, like people who are new to this sort of thing. People who are new to this sort of thing, this is not going to be easy for them. This is going to kick their ass on most of this stuff. Sweep picking is not easy. String skipping is not easy. The speeds in which he's playing these things, for most people, that's not going to be easy either. So, sound advanced, I mean, they're at least intermediate. Intermediate advanced, I wouldn't call them easy. Sound cool, but I don't feel they're easy. I think for most people, the average guitar player is going to have a very difficult time playing these things, especially at the speeds that Bernth is playing them at. So, if you are a guitar player who's tried these things and it's like, well, he said they're easy, why am I having such a hard time? It's because they're not that easy. I really don't think they're that easy. I was right. That is the pattern. Now this one I might actually be able to play as fast as he's doing. This is my bread and butter. Alternate picking the shit out of scales. Can you hear that? The doors in this place, the walls in this place are so poorly made. It's so easy to hear like damn near everything. It's... At least outside it's quiet. That's a good thing. So, my dear editor, it's not a big deal that the phone's coming through. Anyway, how fast is he playing this? Three, four, This is about 120 beats per minute. Can I do it at 150? Probably not. I bet I could work up to it, but right now, no. But hey, I'm halfway there. I got 2 out of them, 2 out of 4. Could play it as fast as he can so far, at least for the demonstration here anyway, so that's something. All right, let's let me shut up and let's listen. Ooh, let's go back.
Okay,
I'm gonna try it slow. So I need to start this on C.
okay, so this one is a bit harder already. It's for all the alternate picking lovers out there. So this is the perfect lick if you want to work more in this technique. You're essentially moving through 3 A minor scale positions, and it's a continuous pattern of downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, and so on. The first thing that's a bit tricky is that you're skipping the A string, so you're just playing on the E and D string, so not the usual A minor scale position. You're skipping the A string right here. Then you continue with 16th note triplets and have this kind of cycling pattern. And then you switch to 16th notes for this pattern. So the cool thing is that you're switching between 16th note triplets and 16th notes. That makes this one really, really interesting. And then you're just moving it up to the next position, the exact same pattern. So why is this one actually much easier than it looks? The coolest thing about this lick is the chunking method. So you have different chunks, meaning patterns that are repeated constantly in different scale positions. So once you master those 3 parts and patterns in one position, you can just move them all across the neck through the entire scale. So it doesn't feel like learning one extremely long lick. You're just learning chunk by chunk or part by part, and then you simply start moving those parts through the scale of your choice. And another reason why this is so awesome is that you can apply those chunks and patterns to any kind of scale from now on, as soon as you have them in your muscle memory. Harmonic minor, for example.
The final lick. Now, that one's fairly short. Let's see, what do we got here? Ooh, we're past 2 hours. Well, we're almost done here. I'm not going to do another video. Let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, God. Duh. Damn it. Gotta get my damn ring finger out of the way. Ah, almost got it. Was that it? Was that up to speed? Did I get 3 out of 5? Let's try it. Oh, come on. Damn it. I know that is not 84 beats per minute. Come on. I'm trying to get the tap feature on my metronome to pick this up. 130. That seems about right. Damn it. So close. Let me work this one up. I'm so close to freaking having it. Ah, man. Come on. Fuck. There we go. Come on. Come on. Got ourselves a Lydian lick. Come on. Ah! Just getting that damn ring finger out of the way. Woo! Gotta keep holding my breath here. Come on, damn it. Shit. Man, that's a bitch. Like I said, these aren't easy. Maybe I just suck, but I don't think they're easy. 30 coming up. Come on, goddammit. Myself a sec here. Oh man, sitting in this position is starting to kick my back's butt. Whew. So freaking close. So close. Damn. Ugh. That's decent. I want to get it better though. Fuck. Rest again for a second. At least get one more decent take of it. Damn, man. Just right there. Right there. Son bitch. Whew. God dang it. Shut up, potato. The feeling of like, damn it, I'm so close to getting it. All right, let's give it another go here. That's as good as I'm gonna get it right now. That's that. Your face is quality entertainment. Shredding Bach, yeah. I was supposed to learn 3 songs off of that and then write a review of the book. And then I realized that's just too much damn work to get content out. Exactly. This is not easy. Even though it says 5 easy shred licks. For Birth. Not for me, not for us mere mortals. Alright, let's finish listening and watching what he's got to say.
This one is pretty cool. Maybe you recognize the sound. It's actually inspired by one of my songs, Monolith. That one is from my instrumental shred record, Elevation, so make sure to check it out if you're into all this kind of crazy stuff. The reason why I recommend to learn this is because you're fusing arpeggios with the modes right here.
Lydian! He's gonna say
So
Lydian!
I'm essentially thinking an A major arpeggio. But instead of just playing A, the root, C sharp, the major third, and E, the perfect fifth, I'm also adding the characteristic Lydian interval in there, so the sharp 4. D sharp in our case, so I get this really, really cool sound. So when you start combining arpeggios with really interesting scale notes and other intervals, you will get much, much more interesting results. And this is a great starting point to explore this way of thinking. So the reason why it looks and sounds pretty hard, but it's actually not that hard to play. So I know this one is based on sweep picking, a very challenging technique, but it's actually not as hard as it looks and sounds, mainly because the shape is really small and you're really just working with 3 strings, so the top 3 strings. Usually when you think about sweep picking, you have these big shapes in mind, also with finger rolling and barring.
Well, obviously the 3-string sweep shape is much easier than the 5. I still don't think it's easy. Then again, maybe I just suck. Right? Oh, man.
So it's really not that bad. With our example, you really just need to spend a bit of practice time to learn the picking pattern, the sweep picking pattern for those top 3 strings right here. It comes relatively fast, and then as always you can apply it to any kind of shape from now on and you will immediately sound like a sweep picking professional with this small trick. So at the end, please let me know which lick you personally enjoyed the most. Just leave a comment, I'd love to know. If you're serious about learning these techniques and licks, make sure to head over to Patreon right now to get your video play alongs, tabs, guitar profiles and backing tracks and 5 additional really awesome licks that I made for you. Of course, you also have access to 5 online courses over there and over 180 individual lessons and also my personal feedback. Make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss the next video and leave a like in case you enjoyed this one. I will see you very soon. Have a lot of fun shredding. Bye bye.
Why do all guitarists hate this riff? All right, well, this is only 1 minute long. Let's just see what it is. What is the riff? Well, his clickbait title got me. I am not going to try and do that. The stream has come full circle to creating metal versions of classic songs. Alright, this stream is about to come to an end. Well, got, what, 3 reaction videos out of 4 videos. One of them, there was really nothing to react to. It was basically, here's a riff, play it. Yeah. Certainly some fun licks to play from the Birth video here. But I can't agree that they're easy. Easy for Birth. Not for me. Some of it was like, okay, but even still, like, I've put in so much work for some of those things that I still wouldn't call them easy, you know? Hello, Toady. Thank you. That was definitely more Polyphia-like. Yes, absolutely. All right, it's time for me to finally sign out. As always, thank you to everyone who came in, participated in the stream, watched, who watches the archive stuff. Yes, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. Thank you. We'll see you next